Larry Kantor joins us again, this time live from Midtown Manhattan. Larry, that voice had to sound familiar to you. Tell me, when you listen to yourself and now, I mean, it looked like an ahead-of-the-curve call. Did you get what you expected here, though, in terms of the quality of the market move, in terms of what really has dominated the past year of trading?
Yeah, no, I think we did. I'm happy to say a lot of times when you hear what you said a year ago, sometimes you're most of the time not so happy. So I feel pretty good about that call. And it is pretty much, it has unfolded pretty much as we expected. We did think it was the real thing. It's certainly proven to be a rally. And the thing was, back then, it was a pretty simple choice. It's actually harder now. Either you believe the world was falling apart and we were going into a depression, in which case valuations were going to keep falling, or that we'd really turn the corner and things were going to get better. We believed in the latter. If you did, there were screaming buys out there, and that's proven to be the case. Now, I think it's a lot trickier now, given the size of the market rally we've had.
Yeah, it's a question of whether we're going to see steady growth or whether we're going to continue bouncing around these levels.
Right.
I mean, what's your conviction at this point for the year ahead?
Yeah, at this point, I would say that at least in the near term, meaning over the next few months, we're on the bullish side. So we think the market's, in a sense, climbing a wall of worry. Something hits the market, like the Greek debt situation. Everybody takes risk off the table, which is understandable given how far we've come and what everybody's been through over the last few years. They want to protect those gains. So we don't see any screaming buys anymore. Neither do we see major overvaluation. And we're in an environment that's very favorable for financial asset prices. We're pretty early in the economic recovery. We've got zero rates from most, especially the Fed, but most central banks are close to that, and they're not going to be tightening anytime soon. And then the third thing, interestingly enough, is deleveraging. People talk about that in a negative way, but instead of the corporate sector and the household sector borrowing a lot of money, they're saving, they're paying down debt, and that's also adding to financial asset prices. So this is a very good environment. Until you pull one of those away, it's hard not to be bullish here.
So, Larry, you said you didn't see any screaming buys at this point, and if you looked at the lack of volume out there, it would appear that you're not alone, that there isn't real conviction right now. What would change that story for you? What are you waiting for? Is it the end of March? I mean, are you waiting to see in April, perhaps, as some of the support comes out of the housing market from the government? What happens? What is it?
Well, I think in the very near term, we think that the data have been depressed by the weather. With the arrival of spring, you should see the data bounce back after being held down. I think that will help. In particular, the one thing we still haven't seen turn is the labor market. Yes, we got a positive surprise on Friday because everybody was expecting weather-depressed levels, but we still didn't really get job growth. I think when you see that, the market will fully believe in the sustainability of the U.S. recovery, which I think there's still a lot of skepticism about. And with the Fed still on hold at zero, and you get the idea that it's going to be sustainable, because after all, you do need job growth for this to be sustainable, to get consumers spending again, then I think we'll get one more leg in this rally. So I think that's what's going to take. The other thing is that the European numbers have been very weak. We think you'll probably see some better numbers. I mean, the bigger countries like Germany and France are still growing pretty decently. So,
well, we'll continue to watch and see whether they end up being a drag or whether they'll fall by the wayside. Thank you so much, Larry Kantor.